Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame, and this is the recap review for Delilah. So I was gonna do this one before Sisters, but I really wanted them to go on ahead and get to the meat and potatoes of what is going on. So I was hoping that they were going to reveal exactly who the person was who did what they did, but they didn't. I just know a little bit more information on that. But yeah, anyway, so let's get into the recap review for this. So Delilah went by the VA hospital to see her brother Nate to ask him about her findings, just to see what his report says versus the report that she saw. Yeah, both reports are completely different, but it's signed by the same sergeant. So everybody is tasked with finding out what is going on and, looking into the sergeant and all that because they're trying to keep this quiet. The brother didn't even want to look at his report, so it was literally unopened, but she asked for permission to open it, but he didn't know why. But yeah, she's checking into that to see what's going on, and she had to check him before she even got started on that because he tried her by sending her daddy over there to go get, or at least try to get, his grandson to take him because he wanted to be petty in a moment because they ain't on the best of terms right now because the truth was spoken. It's like, you over here doing the most. Like, what is going on in your marriage for real? Like, I'm tired. And like, you're supposed to be getting released, or at least you're supposed to be visiting the house that your wife and that man is living up in order to make arrangements. Now, is that even gonna happen at this point? Because y'all gotta see how the new living arrangement's gonna be. Because I don't know if they're gonna put a ramp in. Like, what they gonna have to do for you? You know what I'm saying? For you to live there and do what you're gonna do. Like, you really just gonna be in another room while your wife getting bust wide open and somebody tell them to bring it back. Like, what is going on? But anyway, like I said, they didn't have people to check everything to see what's going on. And yeah, while they were in the middle of looking into that, because she ended up taking everything back to her office to the ladies that work under her for them to, be briefed on what's going on. She got a phone call from that fine man. And he was like, yeah, it hasn't been a month yet, but I heard that you like the Hornets, because I don't know if y'all know this or not, but this is taking place in Charlotte, North Carolina. So the Charlotte Hornets are playing, and he said that he heard that she's a big fan, and so he wanted to know if she was interested in going to a game, even though that month hasn't even passed yet. And so she was like, I really, really would love to, but I'm still really, really busy. I got a lot going on. But what I can do is I can try, if you give me a couple of days, to try to secure a babysitter, and we can meet at this restaurant at around whatever time or whatever, and then I'll pay. So he was like, well, can you give me until a certain time on that day if we still go? Because I do Muay Thai and I would like to be showered up. So she was like, really? You over here making pizza and you do Muay Thai too? You're a man of many talents. And so he was like, yeah, I'm just trying to stay interested. So he's one of those people you got to really keep his interest. He likes to be very involved in things. So, okay, then you do that. But he fine. So hopefully everything will go over well when they do go out. Tamara or Tamara, however she said her name, I'm going to say Tamara for all intents and purposes. Tamara's at work and she gets a phone call from her fiance, as my cousin liked to call her husband before they got engaged and married. Yeah, for her fiance. And he was like, what time are you getting off today? And she was like, I already did. He was like, that was a real question. I was like, girl, like it went over my head for a second, and I was like, wait a minute. Like after like 2-3 seconds passed by, I was like, wait a minute, ma'am, you done went off. But anyway, he was like, that's a real question. What time are you getting off? And so he was like, she was just like 5. And he was like, is that a real 5 or what? And she was like, 5 o'clock. Like, why are you asking me this? Like, are you cooking one of your time-sensitive meals? Time-sensitive gourmet meals or something? He was like, oh, okay, bye. Like, he had all kinds of groceries on the counter, so it looked like that's what it's gonna be. Like, he is really good to her. Hopefully, ain't gonna ever pop off where that situation ends, because he seems great. So I just hate when stuff like that happens on these shows. But yeah, I was like, okay. You can tell she's in very much so in love with him. Delilah went over to talk to Tamara about her findings and to show her just evidence, because she's the type of person, she needs to see receipts, which I don't blame her. I get it. So anyway, she went over there. You could hear music playing in the hallway. I'm like, okay, what's going on? Well, she gets inside and we see that her man has proposed to her. And it was an amazing setup. I don't know if he did that by himself, but good job. Awesome. And, you know, they are really enjoying themselves. And she didn't ask Delilah to be her maid of honor and all of that. So they're in the middle of talking and she was like, you know, she asked her, well, did he tell you to come over here? Are you sure he didn't tell you to come over here? And she was like, yeah, he didn't. I actually came over here to discuss the case. And she was like, yeah, of course. You know, and she didn't say it in a negative way, but she was just like, yeah, you know, I know. So she's trying to explain to her that she feels like the case is in some way connected to her brother, Nathan. So she like, what you mean? So, you know, she told her about the radios and how it is the most commonly used radio in the Army. And everybody's reports are different. The reports that the Army has are completely different than the reports that the actual soldiers had when they were given, you know, the discharge papers or just paperwork in general, letting them know, you know, the incident report as far as what has happened. And so the same person who had been signing all this stuff, we find out that he retired and he'd been MIA and, you know, nobody has seen him in like over a month. Like, it is very, very coincidental that everybody done got a severance package or has retired and or disappeared over the last month since all this stuff that really popped off. Come on now. Come on now. Y'all doing the most. So anyway, everybody trying to find him. I don't know what is going on, but I'm tired. Like, it's too much. Like, old girl, Demetria, the new girl that works for Delilah, she was like, okay, like, so when can I actually send over the deposition for Osborne, which, you know, that is Tamara's boss. And so she was like, after I talk to Tamara, you know, I want to let her know what's going on to hopefully sway her so that she'll know what it is. So anyway, while she's talking to Tamara in this moment, she was, you know, kept trying to say, you know, I don't want to ruin your moment with this. So she was like, girl, just tell me what's going on. So she gave her the rundown and she was like, girl, you know good and well, if this turns out to be what you're saying that it is, I will drop this like a bad habit. Like, partnerships are different than partnerships. Meaning the term partner that people use when it comes to being a lawyer and all that stuff, she is not concerned about that as much as she is with her amazing friendship that she's had with Delilah for I don't know how long. So anyway, she could tell that things are about to get very interesting and touchy-feely up in there. So she was like, yeah, I talked to you in the morning. And so she was like, okay. Because at first she really tried to get Delilah to stay. But she could tell how her man was looking. He had that look in his eye like, oh, no, now I'm trying to bust wide open, take break back now. So she went on ahead and left. And so he was like, oh, she had to leave. And she was like, yeah, you know, something with the kids. He trying to roll up. And she was like, I know what you're doing. Like, he stay going to that neck. He stay going to that neck because he know her spots and things. And so she was like, I still got some living to do in this body before you wreck this body. And so he'd have picked her up and he'd have took her to the bedroom. It's finna be whatever it's finna be. It's finna be grown time up in there. Delilah is at home with that little boy, her nephew, giving him a bath. And she learns that some boy at the school, you know, is the reason why he all muddied up and all this other stuff. She tried to figure out why he's so dirty. And, you know, she had just cleaned him up or whatever, obviously. But the little boy is talking about how everybody get divorced, and then he started asking, you know, are his parents divorced, because he knows that Delilah's divorced. And so she was like, no, your parents aren't getting divorced. And, you know, it just gets to a point where she looking like, dang, like, are they actually gonna get divorced though? Because y'all know the situation. They need to be divorced at this point because I ain't here for it. The wife ain't here for him. Like, I don't even think she'd have been up to see him at the VA hospital, but you living off the check, though? You living in the house, though, with a whole nother man? Girl, bye. So today is the day where Leah, her brother, and their daddy are supposed to sit down at the VA hospital and discuss the renovations that are going to be needed to be done at Nate's house. And of course, Christine, the baby mama slash wife, ain't nowhere to be found. He called her again and she told me, oh, I thought it was tomorrow. Girl, I just can't. Like, why? I can't. Like, usually it's the military dudes that's out here fighting and bopping, but this heifer is living off of the little money that he does get with a whole nother man in the house. And the least she can do is to show up. You already ain't showing up for the child. You're not going to show up for the husband. You just ain't going to do nothing except lay around in the house with your legs open all day. That's all you're going to do? Oh, okay. But anyway, so the meeting happened. And, you know, the woman was like, well, I don't know how y'all going to pay for it, but, you know, these are renovations that are going to be needed. So hopefully everything will go over well. Well, the way that Leah was looking throughout the meeting, it was very telling that she was not here for nothing. And anytime Christine was brought up, her facial expressions were chopped and screwed up. And her and Nate got into it in front of the woman. The woman was like, oh, this is normal. You know, she wasn't surprised by it. Like, everybody tired. So he told Delilah, excuse me for a minute while I talk to my daddy, because I think his wife or somebody is willing to pay for the renovations. And he was like, well, I'm not talking, we're not going out here to talk about you. We talking about the money that's going to take for these renovations. And she was like, dude, you're grown. Do what you want to do. Talk about what you want to talk about. So anyway, y'all, I ain't here for him. He be getting on my nerves. And that child is the one who is suffering. But anyway. So y'all, Tamara she done rolled up on Osborne Jr. I think his name Fred Osborne Jr. Because she was like, she gonna, you know, take it up the flagpole. She gonna, you know, do the hierarchy. Whoever she need to talk to first, and then she gonna go to the next person. She went to the son first, talking to him. She gave Delilah a heads up and was like, look, do what you gotta do. I'm going to talk to them. I read everything. This stuff is definitely not adding up, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna confront these folks, and if he don't talk to me, I'm gonna know something's definitely up, and we gonna be on this together, so you ain't gotta worry about it. Well, she got in front of Osborne Jr. He gonna pull the Trump card, and I mean literally Donald Trump, talking about, I'm a Christian. So when I say yes, my yes means yes and my no means no, and I subscribe to a court that's completely different than the one that you subscribe to in life. And I was just like, anyway, so he is taking it upon himself to take her somewhere that the man who killed himself, his boss, which is this black woman, is going to prove to her that those radios are harmless. So she done rolled out this big old cart that has explosives written on it and all of that, and told her how it works. It cycles for 30 seconds and then it changes in an effort to make sure that the enemy, if they are listening in, they will not be able to continue to listen in. And she told her that, you know, you have to put a 3-digit code in order for anything to be detonated. She trying to convince her that there were live explosives within it and all this other stuff. But at the same time, like, how would she know that any of this is live? She ain't in the military. She don't know. All she can do is go off what y'all talking about. But she is smart. And she don't know whether or not it's something that's real or not. You can sit up there and doctor something up all day long, just like y'all doing with the paperwork, doctoring all this stuff up to cover something up. Like, y'all doing the absolute most with this case, because this case was only supposed to be about why did Leah get fired? Was it because y'all had bigger things? Despite the fact of whatever little things she might have had going on in the mix. So a lot of other stuff, big things been coming to light, and it actually has crossed over into Leah's life. Like, come on, her brother is paralyzed because of this same thing. So, you know, she's not convinced, but at the same time, she don't know what to do. So anyway, she went and talked to, I forgot the other dude's name. It's somebody else that's a part of the firm. And he was like, oh yeah, she just walked in. And so he was on the phone talking to somebody, and she walked in, and so they talking, and she was like, yeah, they had a pony show trying to show me all this stuff. I'm still not convinced. I don't know what I should believe. How am I supposed to know this stuff is live or not? Like, I don't know. But why are they doing all these things? Why are they? It just seems like a cover up to me. And like, she's pleading the case, and she was like, just put me in contact with Fred Senior, and what he do, we need to do, because this ain't adding up. Like, what they hiding? It seems like they hiding things. So old boy was like, look here, they showed you these things. You shouldn't have even been out there anyway. Like, he went off. He was like, why did you even go out there anyway? You ain't had no business even out there. So anyway, he told her, what you need to do is back up off of all this stuff and send him an apology and give him a thank you for everything. Don't you want to make partner? I mean, they basically was just like, do you want to make partner or not? Okay, since you want to make partner, accept this for what it is and move on with your life. And so she done called Delilah and told her everything. Delilah looking at that phone like, girl, you saw what I sent you. You know that this is wrong. You know in your heart of hearts that this is wrong. So she really trying to convince her. Man, Delilah was like, girl, enjoy your partnership, and hung up in her face. I was like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. Ain't nobody got time for this foolishness. So then, anyway, back at the office, Demetria and old girl, I just saw her name. I don't know why I can't think of it. The woman who was already there. They in the office, and so she was like, can I, submit the deposition yet? So she was like, no, you need to wait until Delilah says that it can be done. I'm not submitting it until Delilah tells me that I can submit it. So Delilah finally come in. So she then basically went over her head and was like, Mrs. Connolly, is it okay if I go on ahead and submit the deposition now? And she was like, give me 2 minutes. So this is when she get on the phone and she have it out with Tamara, and she called her in and was like, submit it now. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So Leah's daughter is at one of her free lessons, right? And Miss Virginia is going in like she ain't even hardly played a couple of notes, and she keeps stopping her. So she's getting frustrated because she does not know exactly what she wants, because for whatever reason, Miss Virginia feels as though she's not doing her best. She's not playing the way that she should. She done read this girl and told her that the way she playing right now wouldn't even get her into the pit of like a regular high school. I was like, oh my God, no, ma'am. So anyway, and I mean, she straight up asked her, do you love this? Do you really want to pursue music? Like, are you actually serious about this? So she was like, yes. And I mean, she really was going in. She was like, I have heard people play that would bring tears to a statue. And this is when she starts to kind of break down. She was like, no, not you, a statue. I was like, oh gosh, Miss Virginia, no. So anyway, y'all, they at the house doing the assessment and letting them know everything that's going to need to be done. The help for Christine there, I guess the man in the back, or he left out to go take a smoke real quick or drive around the block while they up in there. Because y'all know that man is living up in there. I don't care what nobody say. But Christine just standing up there looking like a fool. And then she talking about, oh, I can't do this. Girl, do what? Like, man, she gonna try to make it seem like it's about the money. Like, girl, how is it about the money when you ain't contributing? It's her dad in them. And then, like, she started to say something. She was like, well, what if? But then she just stopped. I'm like, girl, just say you can't be with him and hope that you can make it on your own without the little bit of military money that he had coming in. Hope that you can go and stand on your own, or stand with that man you've been screwing. Go do that, heifer. Anyway, Tamara has called Delilah and asked her, to call her back. She done left her a message. Y'all know that she's literally in the middle of doing this situation with her brother. So yeah. Oh my gosh. Y'all, this woman is frustrating me, and she is, I don't think during the whole season, which this is like the 4th episode, I don't think she's even had 5 minutes of camera time, and she has irked my soul so bad. I just can't stand this woman. I can't stand her. You don't want nothing to do with your child. You don't want nothing to do with your husband. You don't want nothing to do with nobody except this raggedy man, like Wido. This man, Andre. The whole episode is entitled Andre. I am so tired of Andre, and I don't even know him. Anyway, y'all, it's just tearing my nerves up. But anyway, side note for me, I really love the little hooded shawl thing, hooded cardigan shawl, and it's something else. It's a thing that I have that I got a couple of weeks ago. Like, y'all, I guess because it's spring, it was discounted, but it's still cold to me. But I saw it and it's houndtooth. I live for houndstooth. But anyway, I forgot the name of it, what it's called. It starts with an A. It's a kind of weird name, but it's basically like a 2 or 3 in 1 type of a shawl / scarf situation. But it kind of reminds me of that, but not really. But what she has on in this moment, that hooded like cardigan situation, I have been looking high and low for something like that I want. I want something like that so bad. Oh my gosh. I would just sit up in my living room with that on if I could. But anyway, y'all don't understand. I'm into stuff like that. I love stuff like that. I love comfort. I love to be, warm, because right now it's hot one day and cold the other. Like earlier today, the first video I did, it was burning up hot. Then all of a sudden it was freezing. And I'm like, why though? Like, it literally started off hot and now it's freezing. Like, and it wasn't hot outside. Like, the temperature didn't change. I don't know what in the world was going on with that. But anyway, I digress. I'm sorry, y'all. But yeah, I really love whatever it is she has on. I love hooded things. Like, I literally have a hooded scarf. I've had a hooded scarf for like the last 5 to 7 years. I love stuff like that. So Delilah is trying to get ready for her date. And the little boys, her son and her nephew, are basically judging what she has on. They don't like none of the stuff she done put on. They feel like what she has on is amazing, actually. And while she was in the middle of trying to find something to put on, Harper, that's her name, the one who was there all along, the initial person who was at the office, she called her and, she wanted to know if Leah came by. And that's something I knew I was going to forget to say. So earlier in the episode, Delilah told Leah to come by the office and bring the laptop and her cell phone because they keep pestering her about bringing it in, to the point of where they are threatening to have her put in jail if she doesn't return it. And so she was like, it's my laptop and it's my cell phone. But Delilah reminded her that there are files on it that belong to them. So that's why they're saying all this, but she feels like they're bluffing. Well, I felt like they was just doing the most, and I'm gonna need for her to go ahead and go over there and hand it over, because Delilah was like, bring it by so I can clone it and then you could take it back. So y'all, this heifer just don't understand. I'm just like, what ends up happening is what I thought was gonna happen all along. So anyway, Delilah is gonna go out on her date with old boy. So she ends up taking a little bit too long, to the point of where they lost their table. So he was like, well, is it okay if we take a little walk? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. I need to get my steps in anyway. So they're walking and they're talking and getting to know one another. And of course, they are discussing how they became best friends with their best friends. She's best friends with Tamara. Y'all, I'm over here talking about Bell Collective. And he's best friends with her best friend's fiance. So, he's from somewhere else. I forgot if he said Santo Domingo or whatever, but he was there. And then, his mama moved him to New York and all these other places. And then eventually they came and settled down in Charlotte. And the reason why they even crossed each other's paths is because his mama worked a lot. And so she left him with Casey. That's his name. Casey's mama. That's Tamara's fiance. And he would come home every day after football practice and they would watch The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And he actually learned how to speak English from Casey. So that's how they became best friends. And the way that she and Tamara ended up being best friends is because when they were like in middle school, she really liked this boy and wanted to kiss him. So she had to be all dramatic and create a whole scenario where she convinced her English teacher to allow her to basically do a play where she did Their Eyes Were Watching God, where the dude that she wanted to kiss was going to play T-Cake. Do y'all know who T-Cake was? T-Cake was being played by Michael Ealy in the movie Their Eyes Were Watching God, and she, I guess, is supposed to be playing Halle Berry's part. But yeah, apparently a couple of minutes into it, while she's playing it out, she runs off. Nobody is able to find her. They're waiting. She ain't come out. So the teacher directs everybody to go off and try to find her, like 10 minutes after waiting. So she was actually the first person to find her. She was on the floor of the faculty bathroom bawling. And ever since then, they've been best friends. So they're talking, getting to know one another. And then a kiss is about to happen when her phone starts to ring, and it is Leah. So he was like, I got to take this. So she took the phone call, and Leah was like, well, I got home and my door was open. And so she was like, well, is anything missing? Like, what's going on? So she was like, I don't know. I'm not sure. And then she realizes that somebody is still in the house. She was like, I think someone's still in the house. She was like, oh, no, you need to leave out, go outside and call the police now. Well, this heifer didn't move fast enough, and you could hear somewhat of a tussle going on in the background. And yeah, this whole time I'm just like, heifer, you gonna end up dead. Like, before we even got to this part, I'm like, you gonna end up dead behind all of this. Like, why are you dragging your feet? My thing is, after the first person ended up dead, I would have been like, oh no, I need protection in some kind of way. I need to do something. I'm gonna be up in Delilah's office every day. I'm gonna barely be at the house. Shoot, I would have been like, can you get your friend Mason to help me out? Because he seems to know how to do recon and watch my house and do whatever else. Like, if you're going to be at the house, have Mason to watch the house or something. I don't know. I'm tired. So anyway, yeah, this heifer done got hemmed up, I guess. We going to see what happened next time. But yeah, that's where it ended. It's a mess. Anyway, let's get down in the comment section and discuss this foolishness. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this recap review of Delilah. Thumbs up this video for me. I really appreciate all the love that y'all show. Y'all have a good one.